All right, let's see if this one's working. I'm still having some technical difficulties making sure I can tell that I'm live. And I know we ran into trouble last week, so I'm hoping that I can see something show up here soon. Somebody can tell me that they're here and they see me. Hopefully you're getting the notification. There we go. Okay, so I know I'm live finally. Good. There's been some technical difficulties again. Facebook keeps changing some things around, and it's hard for me to tell sometimes if I'm on. So yay, you found me. All right, good to see you tonight, Pat. Hope all is well. Just going to start out again reminding you of an upcoming bundle. I'm going to be working with it again tonight. I did it last week as well. Fitting florets. You're going to have the opportunity to purchase in advance, along with a bonus stamp set. This particular stamp set and dies will continue on to the next mini catalog. They're super fun to play with. This one you could use now. There's lots of great holiday things in there. And then in addition, you've got some really pretty designer series papers that'll be there, available while limited quantity while supplies last. And that'll start just a week or so on November 1st. All right, so I'm going to show you guys again tonight what some of that looks like. So we are going to start out tonight. Hi, Pat. Good to see you. Excuse me. Sorry, I got to clear my throat there. Okay, so here is what you need for tonight's live session. You're going to take a piece of cardstock, 5.5 by 8.5, and score it at 4 1/4. I'm going to use Balmy Blue. A second piece of cardstock, and you want this to be light enough to stamp on, because you're actually going to put your phrase on a colored piece of cardstock tonight. So there is mine, and that's 1 3/4. 1 by 3 1/4. There we go. Mine is soft succulent. And then a neutral piece that is 3 3/4 by 4. We're going to use that so the 4-inch length goes across horizontally like this. I know they're really close in size, so just pay attention to that if you can. And then either grab a piece of DSP or some ribbon that's about 1/2 inch wide and 3 1/4 inches long. And again, I'm going to use a piece 3 3/4. There we go. Why do I keep throwing that into one word? 3 3/4 inches long, and that's going to be, again, I'm using the Floret DSP tonight. All right, so I'm going to start out by showing you how I've decided to decorate up my piece here. I did do this last week in a similar fashion, so I'm going to show you again how to use your blending brushes to color in a background. And I'm going to start the opposite way that I did last week, which is I'm going to start out with my color and then add my stamps later. So I'm going to start with Balmy Blue, and I've got my blending brush, and I'm going to do mostly across the middle, starting this way. And again, remember, you don't really want to be pushing down too much because you're going to end up with funky blotches, which you don't necessarily want to have. So most of my blue is going to center across, or go across the center, like so. And then I'm going to take my soft succulent and I'm going to add that on the edges. So I'm going to, whoopsie, that one slipped a little bit. So ignore my smudge. Because like I said, once you get a smudge like that, that's not going to blend out very well. So luckily I already have a piece like this done. So my finished sample will look much prettier than the one where I just dropped my brush. But that's the beauty of live television, so to speak, right? Okay, so what I did from the Flame Floret stamp set is I took these two little pieces of flowers and I put them on the same block. I put them close together, and I'm going to use them as one stamp together across where you saw all the Balmy Blue go. So I'm going to go ahead and ink that up, and I'm going to rotate them through, almost kind of like I'm creating my own designer series paper pattern. Okay, so those blue ones are going to go across through the middle. Then I'm going to take one of the leaf patterns from there. I'm going to use this bigger leaf here, and I'm going to add those across the side just to finish off the look of the paper. So again, this is my soft succulent, and I'm just using that to fill in a little bit. I'm also going to take it and put just a little bit into where some of that is so I can see what's going on, and finishing off the look of it. It always looks best if you take an image off the edge of your paper. Gives you a very complete look. And then here is the one that I did beforehand. So you should see that there. Okay, so I just saw someone come across and tell me they can't see me. Well, that's a bummer. Hopefully hopefully this is working again, because this is getting very frustrating. Pat, do you still see me? Can you chime in again and tell me if you're seeing something? I know I saw you here once, and I'm hoping that it's not a fluky part. So give that just 1 second. Well, shoot. Okay, let me hop over to my computer quick and just see if I can see what's going on. There's a second person coming in. Okay, good. So maybe I am actually here. So, all right, I think, is that you, Mom? Did you say, I saw your message come across. You didn't get a notification, but you found me? Hopefully? Okay, good. I don't know why the notification thing isn't working. Hopefully that's a glitch that's going to get fixed soon. Okay, great, Pat. Thank you for chiming in again. Appreciate that. They made some changes recently in the last couple of weeks, and some of this business page to actual Facebook land isn't working like it used to, and it's getting a little frustrating, if I'm going to be honest. All right, for anybody who needs to catch up, okay, good, Mom, you're here, good. You're gonna take your neutral piece that was 3 3/4 by 4, focus your 4-inch length across the horizontal direction, and fill that up with your imagery. So what I did was, I'll do a little brief quick one again here. I took my blue ink, it was kind of opposite to the way I showed you guys how to work with this last week, and I went across my paper filling in some color like that with my blue, and then I came back in with my soft succulent, this was balmy blue, with some soft succulent and filled in the edges. And then I took my stamps, I took this framed florets piece again, and I mounted my 2 little flowers together, and then I just went over that section with my stamp. So it's kind of like a pre-colored area, and then I took leaves and went around the side, and that is how I got to there, okay? So if you have that piece ready to go, great. If not, it's the last thing, one of the last things you're gonna do here, so you can always fill yours in later if you need to. Okay, so go ahead and take that base cardstock and give that edge a nice burnish with your bone folder. Okay, I'm gonna be working with a landscape version on camera. I do have a portrait style to show you later, so you can see how you can use this layout in a different fashion. I'm gonna go ahead and, we should stamp our phrase first. Okay, so I'm going to take the phrase from here that says, just a little reminder that you are loved. And I'm going to stamp that in soft succulent on my piece of soft succulent. And that should show up just a little darker than what the cardstock is. Okay, so there's that. And I want to fill in some of the area, like I did this last week as well. So I'm going to take that tiny little stamp it off once so it's a little bit lighter. And so these little subtle images of this leafy pattern, bulb pattern, leafy pattern, I'm not exactly sure what you might call this one, are just going to appear lightly around the edges of my piece of my phrase. Okay, so there is my phrase. And then if you grabbed, like I said, you either grab a piece of designer series paper or a little bit of ribbon. Now there's a couple things you can do with this. You can mount this like so that it kind of is an edge border that way. You could put it showing like that, so you have it kind of coming out from both sides. I'm going to start out my sample with it like this, and then I'll show you a couple other versions of that, what I just described, using it in different ways. So I'm going to go run, make sure I've got the right edge, some adhesive along the edge, bottom edge of that, where that's going to attach to my designer series paper. Okay, now I took these colors right out of the designer series paper that's in the florets, particularly this one here. So this particular one is soft succulent, evergreen, balmy blue, navy, and then a little bit of white. It's one of my favorite patterns in the pack. So I just followed kind of some of that, that combination to get where I'm going here today. All right, now for assembly, we're gonna take this one, again, 4-inch edge kind of going like this, and you can keep that straight on if you like, or go at a little bit of an angle where each of those corners is gonna end up touching something, okay? So I'm going to do that just a little bit askew. Sometimes that's kind of fun to see. A little offset, so to speak. And bring it over just a little bit. Okay, so that's mounted on there. Now this piece here, you can pop up on dimensionals if you like, or just tape it down directly. And that'll just overlap. You can go up high, middle, or down low, whatever you decide. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to match the corner here on this particular sample. And then again, I'll show you other ones where I've changed up that layout just a little bit. Okay, so there is the base idea for what you got going on tonight. So while you might catch up a little bit, If you're still catching up, I should say, I'll go ahead and show you some other options. I used Celebrate Sunflowers to do this one here. So I used the very large image first, filled in with a couple of the smaller ones and the leaves. And I stamped it in the shaded spruce color. Then I took my watercolor brush and I blended out the color a little bit just to fill it in. And I did the same thing in the brown area. So I stamped with suede ink, darkened that up a little bit, blended it together with the watercolor brush. And then I used crushed curry on a sponge dauber to kind of fill in the rest of the color. And then this cardstock piece is curry with the soft suede ink. And I used a little bit of strip of DSP from the Rustic Harvest, which is in the mini catalog right now. Okay, so there's another option. And as you can see, I mounted this one more straight on, and the phrase is up higher. So you can play with where that rectangle goes. It's not quite, hopefully Aunt Mary, you can find me here. It says you want to join, so come on in. Because I'm not sure how to make it go that way. And hopefully otherwise you can find this later. Okay, hopefully by next week I will figure out what all these glitches are, because this is getting a little frustrating sometimes. This is a new stamp set I picked up recently. It's called A Little Cheesy. And I do think I like the little punny phrases, so to speak. So I used the Year One Tough Cookie with crumb cake and espresso. And this was very vanilla, which I then took over with a little bit of crumb cake ink. So for neutral, I used crumb cake this time. And did, stamped in the cookies, and you can see my DSP was sitting just behind it there, and I did similar to this layout, but I pushed it off to the right, and then again, that's a little bit up higher. Then I used, here's my portrait style one, I used that extra bonus stamp set called Framed and Festive to do a Christmas layout. And I changed up a lot on this one. You'll be like, wait, really? But all the parts are there. That's your piece that you're going to stamp on. Here is the neutral color, and there's the ribbon. I just chose to use it as a bow instead. I used the Real Red ribbon from the combo pack, where you get garden green or real red. That's in the mini catalog. I also added a couple white sequins, where you get those in the sequin pack. That's white and gold and garden green and sweet sorbet. That's also in the mini catalog. I'll have all those page numbers and everything posted on here afterwards once we're done going live. And I did the frame in Real Red. That comes from the die set that goes with the framed florets. And lastly, let me move this out of the way a little bit here. So here was the one I just did on camera, and here's where I stepped it up a little bit. I changed the idea of this part here by actually stamping and coloring in with my blends instead, and I used a bigger piece from that then. So it's this slag, I guess, is that what you call it? Here, and then I added these leaves and a couple extra of that little image there, and I colored it in with the balmy blue and the navy and the succulent blends, so there's a little bit of light and dark happening all across there. Again, taking it off the edges to finish it off. I added one extra layer behind of Night of Navy, and I added a layer onto the balmy blue that's embossed with the 3D art brush. That name always escapes me. That'll also be posted later so you get the correct name. So the embossing folder there adds a little bit of texture. I have both DSP and some ribbon, and I chose to line them all up together and then do that little fanned notch at the end. So all the stuff connects together. So this is a 1/2 inch succulent satin ribbon that's in the annual catalog. And then the DSP again is the same one from over here. And then for a couple little extra blings, I added succulent opal rounds. You can get these in the In Color collection, the current 21 to 23 color collection. That's on its way out, which I can't believe I'm going to miss these guys so much. And I really hope that eventually succulent and evergreen are just part of our normal color collection, because they're like my absolute favorites. Okay, let me get some of that off screen there. Okay, here we go. So that was on camera. That one was stepped up a little bit. That one also uses the Florets frame with the more Christmas phrases. And there's a couple more, again, with the basic layout. And again, you can always think of crumb cake and something like that. That's a perfectly good neutral as well. So you don't necessarily have to think of neutral being white or vanilla. Sometimes it's a brown base like crumb cake. Or something like that works very good as a quote neutral. Even like smoky slate, or if you wanted to use grays, that would be a great base for what you consider neutral. All right, everybody, that is that for tonight. Hopefully this saves and hopefully this works. And that next week, I won't have as many issues with going live. I tried twice tonight, and hopefully the second one here stayed and works. And that everybody finds it later. All right, everybody, you guys have a great rest of your week. I will be here again next week. I know it's Halloween, but my kiddos are older and the trick-or-treat thing is kind of done for where I have to be out. So somebody else can be handling the door, sending out all the goodies, and there I'll be. So here you go. That's it for tonight, everybody, and I will see you again next week live, hopefully. Cross your fingers at 6:30. Everybody take care. Have a great week.